New comic book day is almost here again, so let's take a look at all the books on my pull list. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the pull list. It's my weekly video series where I take a look at all the books coming out. I'm going to tell you about the books I am most excited for. We'll talk about some books I'm a little less excited about. We'll even talk about new trade paperbacks hitting the market for this week of New Comics, Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Yeah. By the way, this is a pretty light week for comics. Like, it's a light week for my pull list, but it's a light week for comics in general. It's like all the publishers were like, you know what? Nobody's going to read comics on 4th of July weekend, so we'll just put them out later. So it's kind of slim pickings, and we're doing something a little bit different this week. But let's go ahead and get things started with the top of the pile. The top of the pile, these are the books that I am most excited for in a given week based on my enjoyment of the previous issues in the series. And this week, like I said, we're doing something a little bit different. We only have one book at the top of the pile, and that is Bitterroot: The Next Movement, issue number 4. Bitterroot: The Next Movement, written by David Walker and Chuck Brown. It's got art by Sanford Greene, and it's just as amazing as it has always been. This series, originally titled Bitterroot 1965, basically takes the Sangrier family of monster hunters and, fast forwards through time a little bit. This is about 20 to 40 years after the original series, depending on where you clock that. But we are in 1960s Alabama at the height of the civil rights movement, at the height of segregation and what we view as like the most vile period of racial hatred in America. I am quite the civil rights history nerd, and I guess I'm kind of coming to terms with that as time goes on, but this period just fascinates me. Part of that is because I live in North Carolina, and North Carolina was in many ways kind of an epicenter of the movement. Though like Alabama and Mississippi get a lot of the press because a lot of just the demonstration that happened there. I mean, we don't get that stuff without first getting the sit-ins in Greensboro and even SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, being founded at Shaw University in Raleigh. Like, so there's a lot of rich history there that, my local area is a part of, and that, we kind of grow up hearing all the time and watching documentaries and stuff like that. So to see some of that stuff played out in the realm of fiction, where it's like, yes, it's historical fiction. It's based in real life history, and there's all sorts of Easter eggs if you want to dive down the rabbit hole of Easter eggs. But at the same time, this is absolutely a monster hunting book, and where the last one was a lot of like steampunk kind of makeshift weapons and stuff like that. This generation of the Sangrier family almost feels like the Sangriers are like the Jetsons, and everything kind of looks futuristic from a 60s point of view. And I even love like the indicia, like the way the graphic design in the book is done. Like, just, it feels great. There's nothing I can say about this that I haven't already said. What you need to know: it's 1965. The Sangrier family are investigating a few events that have happened that appear to be Genu attacks. Of course, according to the establishment, Genu don't exist anymore. Genu are the monsters basically created by hatred. And so we got to cure these Genu. It's worse than it's ever been. We've never seen hatred and Genu attacks at this level, and yet the government wants to say they don't exist. So the Sangriers are basically trying to prove that they exist and prove that they need to be on the scene, while having to kind of prove they're worthy of existing, and all of that. And, dealing with, all right, we're the northern people coming down to this southern town, and, you got people throwing the communist tag around everywhere. Like, there's all kinds of stuff going on in this series that feels like real life history, but also feels very much like fiction, and it's really fun. Things are coming to a head. We got the local police department doing some things maybe they shouldn't be doing. I'm saying way too much about this book. I just need you to know how good it is. I will say this, though. If you did not read the original Bitterroot series, those 15 issues from Image, and I believe it's a Skybound book, But if you didn't read those original 15 issues, then you may want to read those before you read this series. There are some details that will be spoiled for you if you don't. It won't ruin the experience, but it might ruin some of the suspense in the original volume. So just be on the lookout for that. This is the penultimate issue. Issue number 4 is out this week with a cover price of $3.99. And like I said, I teased a little bit, but that is the only book at the top of the pile, considering the top of the pile requires me to be caught up with this series or just have something really interesting going on that causes me to like skip everything I didn't read before and drop this to the top of the stack. So that's the top of the pile. Let's talk about some new number ones, new series debuts that are on the radar for this week of new comics. Starting with probably the most hyped number one this week. That is Captain America issue number 1. It's written by Chip Zdarsky. It's got art by Valerio Schiti. So if you were missing Valerio on Avengers, then hey, no worries. He's back. And then I don't remember who's on the colors, but cool artwork, great book, honestly. If you were worried that Chip Zdarsky may have lost a step based on your enjoyment of his Batman run, I got to tell you, since he's been back doing Marvel stuff, it's been really good. Last thing I read of Chip Zdarsky's was Avengers Twilight, which was basically like a Dark Knight Returns for Captain America. And I really liked his characterization on Cap there. I like the coda that he gives and just the resolve, the determination, who Cap is, who Steve Rogers is, and what his character is, right? So I really liked his take on Cap, and that got me hyped for this Captain America number 1. I will say, courtesy of Marvel Comics, I got a chance to check this out early. I don't want to like review it because I will spoil something. What you should know is that this is kind of a back to the basics Captain America story. We do get a slight retelling of his origin, but I like the way they do that. And then we get an event in there that kind of launches us into present day. And the present day, I'm assuming we will see in issues 2 and beyond. This is a Dr. Doom story. And of course, Doom is running the world right now. So interesting stuff going on all the way around. I think this has the potential to be a really, really good Captain America series. And that's why it's on the radar for me. Cover price on this is $5.99. Next up, Comics of the Movement, issue number 1. This is a one-shot published by Good Trouble Comics. They are distributed through Lunar. So if your comic shop doesn't have this, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have it. They can order it through Lunar, although I've heard it's almost sold out at the distributor level already. But what this is, this reprints several comics that came out like in real time during the civil rights era. So a lot of educational type stuff. There's a comic featuring Martin Luther King. There's stuff talking about the Greensboro 4, the sit-in movement. A lot of the stuff I just talked about 5 seconds ago when we were talking about Bitterroot, it's covered in here, but it's more of a historical comic. It's not fiction at all. I think it's a great comic that you should pick up. I really hope the copy I pre-ordered is at my LCS because, you know, distributor issues have been all over the place lately. 64 pages on that. Cover price on it is $9.99. Next up, this is ILLuminati, issue number 1. This is from AWA. It's written by Brian Edward Hill. It's got art by Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz. I think Chris Sotomayor does the colors. Don't quote me, but I think that's who colors it. But basically, this is presented by Charlamagne the God of Power 105 Breakfast Club fame. And he basically kind of helps with the packaging of it. But the story is Brian Edward Hill. The art is Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz. And to be quite honest with you, this isn't really a Kicks book. I backed this on Kickstarter because I wanted to put some money in the creator's pocket. I love Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz doing work together. Like, that is my favorite penciler inker duo. And we don't get to see them as often together as I would like. So I bought ILLuminati. I have the hardcover. It literally just came in the mail last week. I'm mad it didn't come 3 days before, so I could have brought it to Heroes Con for a signature. But anyway, ILLuminati, by the way, this isn't the cover. This isn't the cover for ILLuminati. The cover for ILLuminati is a little bit risque. It's a homage to DMX's Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood album with a naked lady on the cover. What you need to know. Basically, there is a woman who dies at some sort of music industry party, and she's found like just in a pool of blood, naked. Her sister, I believe her twin sister, is a psychic and is coming to like basically investigate the murder. As she's investigating the murder, her dead sister basically takes a spirit form and kind of like follows her around and is helping her to solve the murder and also haunting the people that did this to her. As her sister falls deeper down the rabbit hole, maybe some of the same things that trapped, the dead twin will try to, engulf her as well. So definitely an interesting story. If you've read Brian Edward Hill on like Blade at Marvel, then he can lean into like sort of risque themes at times. And this being an independent series, you can really lean into that. And so that's what happens here. There's a lot of, stuff kind of made about like, okay, what is the Illuminati in the music industry? Like, what are people willing to do to, get all the trappings, all the things? What are they willing to do to achieve the success and get the money and the wealth and all that? All those conspiracy theories, stuff like that is like touched on in this book in interesting ways. It's dark, it's gritty. Like I said, it's a little bit risque and quite honestly, not really a book for me. But if you're into that sort of thing, this creative team is amazing at it. So Illuminati #1 out this week. Like I said, that's not the cover. So look for the actual cover, which just looks like the DMX album. And you'll see it at your local comic shop. By the way, every issue of this book is going to have an homage, a hip hop homage cover like they did back in the day when Axel Alonso was over at Marvel. Shout out to Chris Robinson. Cover price on that one is $4.99. Next up, we've got X-Men, the HELLFIRE Vigil, issue #1. This is kind of commemorating, which is crazy to me. It's already been a year since the From the Ashes era of X-Men started. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, maybe because I'm like thinking of when the trades came out and not when the books came out. But here we are a year later, and we're going to have a vigil instead of the Hellfire Gala like we've had every year. So I'm sure there will be characters talking about like what the loss of Krakoa meant to them. But this is also saying that we're going to get some teases as to what the future of X-Men is going to look like. So this probably is a good book to check out just to see if you're actually interested in this new era of X-Men. It's got some storytelling by everyone who's writing an X book right now, and even some who've had their X books canceled. So justice for Jeffrey Thorne. You can read the Hellfire Vigil issue #1. It's a one-shot for $7.99. And speaking of X-Men and, past eras and stuff like that, we've got the X-Men by Claremont, Prelude to a Future Past. This is a one-shot that is going to reprint a bunch of stuff that's already been available. So there was a X-Men issue number 140.5 where Chris Claremont kind of gave a prelude to his famous Days of Future Past story, which takes place in issues 141 and 142. That prelude was previously only available in some kind of exclusive hardcover that not many people got. And so now Marvel is putting that out with a rebundle of the, future Days of Future Past story. So 141 and 142. You can get that whole story in one, floppy issue. I think it's like 80 pages on this book for $7.99. And those are all the books on the radar for me this week. Few expensive books here. So we got to go ahead and take a look and see what's in the budget. Let's quickly check our budget, see if we can even fit any of these on the list. And if you're looking at the screenshot, and yes, I had to do a double take. I had to like double check my numbers and make sure I wasn't missing any books. Even with, two of my books representing $18 on the pull list, we're only at $44. So I'm actually under budget this week, which is dope. So instead of, trying to cut some things via the fledgling 4, let's just talk about everything else. So just going in alphabetical order, everything else on my pull list, we've got Absolute Green Lantern, issue number 4. I'm an issue behind. I am excited that this issue kind of places Joe front and center against Abin Sur. I've enjoyed it. It's got like a sort of dark cosmic horror type lean to it. And so there are definitely times where it kind of loses me in the lore. Casually Comics did a great breakdown on like all the Silver Age and Golden Age, like Green Lantern stuff that has made it into this book in a reimagined form. And so reading that has me excited about checking this out, but I don't know how long Absolute Green Lantern is going to hold me. It really just depends on how quickly we can get into some action and get into more like or like adventures as opposed to retelling things that have already happened and catching the audience up. But Green Lantern #4, cover price on that is $4.99. Next up, The Amazing Spider-Man issue #7. I don't really have anything to say about this book. It's written by Joe Kelly. It's got art by John Romita Jr., and I haven't read an issue of it since issue #3, maybe 4. I'm not caught up. It's a double shipping book. I said I was going to drop it, but here's what happened. Marvel just did their solicits, and they announced that Lee Bermejo is going to be doing covers for The Amazing Spider-Man starting in September for like every issue leading up to, I think, issue 1000. And Lee Bermejo does really great Spider-Man covers. If you don't believe me, check out this variant for today's issue or this week's issue featuring Spider-Man and the Black Cat. So, yeah, it's a cover by, if nothing else, Amazing Spider-Man #7, $4.99 on that. Next up is The Avengers issue #28. This is the finale of that story arc, The Masters of Evil. Last issue had T'Challa on the cover and had me excited about it, and then I promptly forgot to read it. I was getting ready for Heroes Con and all that, so yeah, that didn't happen. But Avengers 28 is out this week, and maybe this time I will finally decide if this will go or stay on the pull list. $3.99 is a cover price on that. And lastly, The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue 116. I have been picking up this series ever since issue 1. And yeah, it's The Walking Dead being reprinted in color. If you are an OG fan of the channel, you know that I started picking up this series with the goal of creating a custom bound set of The Walking Dead in color. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to complete that project. The cost of custom binding a book has gone up exponentially since I started in this hobby. I've never custom bound a book. And the project that I want to do even more than this Walking Dead project is collecting all the individual milestone stuff into hardcovers that I can browse on my shelves. So if I gotta choose one project, it's definitely gonna be the milestone project. But Walking Dead Deluxe, if I'm gonna enjoy it, I'm probably best going to enjoy it in color. I've gotten like 25 issues in to this run. So only 91 to go. Cover price on that's $3.99. And that was everything else on the pull list. Let me know how you like that. I kind of liked that as opposed to the fledgling 4 and like having to battle out this bottom 4 type thing. If we have light weeks, we can kind of keep doing that in the future. We'll see how it goes. But now it's time for trade waiting. On this segment, I just talk about new collected editions, series that are being collected for the first time. So if you weren't a Wednesday warrior like me, you can now get caught up. So we're going to start off with a few books from DC. We got Detective Comics Volume 1, Mercy of the Father. This is Tom Taylor and Mikkel Hanine. It's this story where basically Bruce Wayne is like feeling the effects of like being an old man. And he's presented with this opportunity to take a serum to make him feel young again. Now, as he starts to do some investigating and he learns where that serum comes from, well, let's see how things go. Very interesting volume. I really liked this story arc. Cover price on this one is $19.99, and it covers 7 issues of Detective Comics from the All-In era, issues 1090 through 1096. But yeah, the All-In era of Detective Comics starts with that trade paperback. Speaking of All-In at DC, the next volume is Nightwing, Volume 1. On with the show. This is written by Dan Waters, I believe, is writing Nightwing. And it's got art by, God, what is the dude's name? He did some Green Lantern stuff when Jeff Thorne was on it. I really like his art. Dexter Soy. Dexter Soy on Nightwing as well. Quite honestly, that team sounds interesting enough. I like Dan Waters. I like Dexter Soy. I was not ready to move on from the Tom Taylor era of Nightwing. So I didn't even give this a chance. I didn't even read the first issue of it. So if you are like me and didn't give it a shot, now you've got another chance to grab it. Cover price on that is $17.99 because it contains like one issue less. That's why the Batman comic is more. So Nightwing Volume 1, on with the show. By the way, both of those are available as standard trade paperbacks or standard size hardcovers. So you pick your poison. You'll pay a little bit more for the hardcovers, of course. Next up from Oni Press is Cruel Universe Volume 1. This is their sci-fi kind of horror, but really just sci-fi anthology. I really enjoyed the first couple of issues of this before I fell off. You will, of course, enjoy some stories more than others. They are all like very short, 8 to 10 page primers on, different sci-fi concepts. There was one I really enjoyed where there was like this dude gets dropped on like a gladiator planet against all kinds of creatures, and then the end of the story is like, okay, he's finally like decided to be a savage and go and like kill somebody, and then you learn that like the story was not about who you thought the story was about the whole time, and that was crazy. I really liked that one. But Cruel Universe Volume 1 finally coming to trade paperback this week. Cover price is $19.99. And finally, some Marvel representation on this list. We've got What If Galactus. This is a one and done series. I think it was 5 issues. I put this on the list because I really liked What If Venom that came out a few months ago, where it was like different people got the Venom symbiote, and it was like a cool what if story. This is very similar to that in that not that a bunch of people become Galactus, but a bunch of people from the Marvel Universe become Galactus's herald. So it's like, what if Gambit was a Silver Surfer? What if Rogue was a Silver Surfer? What if the Incredible Hulk was the Silver Surfer? And that concept is just intriguing to me. So cover price on that is $15.99. And those are all the books on the trade waiting pile this week. Like I said, it's a short week. It's a very short week for new comics. So a great week to check out some trades or check out some new series that maybe you wouldn't have checked out in other circumstances. Just be careful, because if I know, my pull list, like I think I know my pull list, things are going to get real expensive real quick later on this month. So check your budget. Make sure you're not going over for the whole month, but enjoy a light week this week. I will see you guys in another video soon. My Heroes Con recap is coming out tomorrow. I promise. So stay tuned for that. Until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.